Today's video is a highly requested video. I have a lot of people in the comment section, in my DMs, asking me questions like, how can I apply for PR? Where can I read up about express entry? Things like, where do I begin from? You cannot do all of this without knowing if you are eligible or if you qualify to apply for express entry. So in today's video, I will be breaking it down to the best of my knowledge, and I would be explaining how to apply for express entry. Stay tuned. Guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Suleeha here today again. If you don't know me, I'm a Nigerian YouTuber residing in Ontario, Canada, and my content spans from lifestyle, daily vlogs, DIY immigration talks, and if you're new to my channel, I say welcome. Please do not forget to subscribe, and if you're a returning subscriber, I say thank you for always sticking back to this channel. So what am I going to be talking about in today's video? I am going to be talking about what is express entry, how to apply for express entry, how to boost your CRS score. I also have the fees that are accustomed, or the fees that, when you apply for express entry, the fees that you are to pay for express entry. And finally, how to become a PR through express entry. So let's get right into it. So what is express entry? So I'm going to draw your mind back to when it all started. It all started in 2015, where Canada started a system of application through which skilled workers from all over the world can apply or are invited to apply for PR and to settle permanently in Canada. So every year, thousands and thousands of applicants are invited to apply for express entry through any of the subcategories of the express entry towards being a permanent resident in Canada and eventually towards being a citizen in Canada. After getting your PR, it usually takes about 3 years or 3 years and a few more months to get your Canadian passport, that is to become a Canadian citizen. That's if you meet all the eligibility after 3 years. While there are over 100 pathways to becoming a permanent resident in Canada, the express entry is the most popular program out of the whole pathway. It's point-based, and it is point-based, and it is also as regards to specific or certain requirements. So I mentioned earlier that subcategory, people are invited to apply for PR under any of the subcategories in the express entry. The subcategories under the express entry include the FSW, the CEC, and the FST. What does that mean? The Federal Skilled Worker, the Canadian Experience Class, and the Federal Skilled Trades, I think. So for the Canadian Experience Class, if you do not have a work experience in Canada, or you do not have any education in Canada, you do not meet up to that requirement. For Federal Skilled Trades, there are certain particular trades that are listed. If your skills are not under those trades, then you do not qualify to that, which brings us to Federal Skilled Worker, which is the most uncommon one that everyone goes through, everyone that are eligible, that do not meet up under the other two requirements. Federal Skilled Worker is the other leg that they now apply under through express entry. So which brings me to the selection factors, or basically the criteria that you must have to be able to apply at all under the express entry program. And I'll be taking it one by one. So there are 6 selection factors towards which you can check if you're eligible for express entry. The first one being the language test, the second one being your age, the third one being your educational level or educational background, the fourth one being your work experience, the fifth one, which is employment in Canada, which is optional to me, the sixth one is then the adaptability point. So I'm going to break all of this into smaller bits so that you can understand better. I am going to put all of this information in the description box. So we take the language test first. For you to be able to qualify to apply into the Express Entry program, you would need to do a language test. So we have several language tests available. There's IELTS, there's CELPIP, and there's for people that are bilingual, there's TEF or TCF, I think, for French. So the criteria is that you must have a language test and there's a band that you must meet. If you read more up on the language test, you will find out that there are some that requires you to have this particular amount of score. You must not go below that. I think listening, for example, as the highest that you must not go below a particular number or score when it comes to listening. So my own advice or my tips is that for IELTS, aim at the highest point. So that means to say that aim to max out your IELTS. Do not think that, okay, I've written IELTS and that's it. You can write the exam. If you don't make it at once, you can create an account in the pool. Then later on, rewrite the exam to increase your chance of getting a better score. Because if you do not max out your IELTS, the chances of you getting a higher score is really, really slim. Also, some people have the ability to combine both IELTS and French. I give it to you. So if you are that type of person that you are bilingual, you can write both French and English. I would advise that you do both exams to qualify for the highest number of score. That's about the language. There's nothing really much about it. It's just for you to have a language test. So the next one, which is your educational level, there's something that they call the Educational Credential Assessment, which everyone knows as ECA. That's another important factor when it comes to applying for Express Entry. So if you did not school in Canada or you did not go to a university in Canada, you would need to evaluate your degree. There are several bodies that evaluate degrees, talking about WES, talking about ICAS, talking about PEBC, talking about MCC. It depends on the degree that you have. That degree would allow you to know which body that you would evaluate your result with. And what does the evaluation does? The evaluation is just for the body evaluating your result to be able to say that this is the assessment that you have. We've been able to access your degree and we can categorically tell you the level at which this degree is on the Canadian pedestal, that is on the Canadian level. They would be able to evaluate your result if it is a post-secondary, if it is a secondary, or if it is a higher degree or a professional degree. Basically, that's just what the evaluation does. So a very, very key important factor I'm going to break here is that before you can at all create an Express Entry profile, you must have your English test and you must have your ECA done. Those two things are your first step. They are the first thing that you need to do before even doing anything, because that's what takes you into the pool to be able to join other applicants in the pool. So for your IELTS, once you have your IELTS result, you also have your ECA result, you then go online to create an Express Entry profile. I always advise people who decide to go forward to write IELTS first. I feel like that's like jumping the gun, because ECA to me is the first thing that you should be doing. That's like your first point of call, because ECA has an expiration of 5 years while your IELTS has an expiration of 2 years. Now think about it. Before you get your transcript in the university, we know the way the Nigerian system works. It's a lot of stress to get your transcript before you are able to send your transcript down to the evaluating body, then after which the evaluation really starts. All of that can take a while. It can take about 3 to 4 months to get all of that sorted. Now imagine you've went around, you've jumped the gun to write IELTS, and then your IELTS keeps counting, because at the end of the day, your ECA is not out and your IELTS has begun to run out of time because it has 2 years of expiration. So my advice is, once you are sorted with your ECA, in terms of you know that your evaluation has started by the body evaluating your results, then you can go ahead to book your IELTS. I always say in the middle, in that time, you can use that time to practice for your IELTS. You can study, you can do all of that thing, and you know that immediately you know that your evaluation is in works, you can then proceed to pay for your IELTS and do your IELTS. As such, you know that by the time the result is coming out, and at the same time the IELTS result is out, the next thing for you is to jump into the pool and create an express entry profile. Which brings me to the next thing, which is age. Age is a very important factor in this journey. Like, if you are young, you're vibrant, you still have, a long way ahead of you, I always advise to take advantage of the fact that you are still very young. Age is a very important factor when it comes to express entry, because after the age of 30 years, you progressively begin to lose points in the express entry pool. So say, for example, you've created your express entry profile when you were, say, 27, and then not 27, say 29 or 30. 29, let me use 29 as an example. Then you clock 30, you are still in the pool waiting to be picked. The next thing that goes is, immediately you clock 31, your score goes down. Say, for example, you're already on a 481 in the pool, it goes down by, I think, 5 points, which is not too cool, because then you start running around to see how you are going to increase your CRS point. One advice that I always have for couples that are both on the same pedestal of educational level, I always say that let the younger person be the primary applicant, while the older person be the dependent of the primary applicant. That way, you know that while in the pool, once age eats up, it's not going to matter, because the person in the pool is slightly younger than the dependent. So for evaluation, you must evaluate your highest degree, meaning that if you are trying to evaluate your degree, you must evaluate either your BSc, if you have a BSc, like if your level of educational background stops at the BSc, you must evaluate your BSc. If your level of education proceeds to a master's, you must only evaluate your master's and not your BSc. So you evaluate the highest of the degrees that you have. Say, for example, if you have an HND and ND and HND, say, for example, you can evaluate your HND result and your ND result. That gives you two or more degrees in that sense. This is specifically peculiar to those that went to polytechnic or things like that. We also have people that did HND and they still proceeded to do BSc. Such people can also evaluate their HND as well as their BSc and still get 2 or more points. This is because one of the courses that they did is a full 3 years course, which is part of the requirement of getting 2 or more degree under the express entry platform. So another important thing that I would say is that some particular courses are classified as first degree holders, like first professional degree holders. They particularly have bodies that evaluate their courses. You do not just use anyhow body to just evaluate your course, because they, at the end of the day, after evaluating your course, would deem it fit as a professional degree, which is at par with a master's degree under the Canadian law, I think. So it must be a licensed profession. I'll give you the examples of professions that are classified as licensed profession under this platform. And it is law. We have law, which you need to evaluate your results with ICAS. You have people that did medicine and surgery. You need to evaluate your results with MCC. We have pharmacists. You need to evaluate your results with a body called PEBC, I think. So we have veterinary medicine, we have optometry, we have dentistry, we have chiropractic medicine. So all of these bodies are the only ones that are classified as licensed. If your course is not under all of these bodies, they are not classified as licensed profession. So don't think that because you did engineering, you spent 6 years in uni, it's supposed to classify as 6 years a professional degree. It is not the same. So all of these bodies that I've listed are the only ones that are classified as licensed professional body. So I'm going to give an example of a friend. When she started the express entry application, she did not have enough information as to which body she should evaluate with. So she went ahead to evaluate with West. So when West was evaluating her results, they evaluated her results as 2 or more degree as a lawyer. While I, on the other hand, I evaluated my degree with ICAS and I got a professional degree, which is at par with a master's degree. In that way, a point reduced. I think I was 4 points or 5 points higher than her solely because of what she evaluated her results with. So it's always important to know or have the right information when it comes to evaluation or when it comes to the body that you should evaluate with. Which brings me to the next one, which is work experience. So the requirement under the express entry pathway is that you must have worked for a whole full year. That's one of the requirements. And not just work for a whole full year, your job must be under the tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. It used to be NOC, I think, before. It's now tier. So your course or your field of degree must be under those tier. And if you take a look at the NOC, that's the National Occupation of, I think, National Occupation Classification, I think. If you take a look at that NOCs, you would be able to find your degree. If you do not find your job description, if you do not find your job description under the NOC, then your work experience is not classified as skilled, and hence you are not eligible for express entry. One advice that I always have for people is don't just look at the NOC and think that, oh, my course, or I used to be called a bank teller and I can't see bank teller there. Don't just think that because you cannot find your NOC or what you do, like the title of your job description, because you can't find it under the NOC, that's the end of it. You are not qualified. No. What I advise people to do is take a look at the NOC that is similar to your job description. Write out your job description. Take a look at it. The words can be different, but it could have the same meaning. So if those words are the same, use that as your NOC and apply. The only thing that now happens is when you want to get your reference letter, make sure that the job description that you've checked is what is in your reference letter. So it is not that you are claiming different things. NOC, people have been refused because of wrong NOC. People have been given PFL because of NOC. So it is very important that you get it right as regards NOC. So another juicy thing that I like particularly about express entry is that you can claim for 3 different jobs that are not what you studied in school. Some other province that actually do some pathway to immigration enforce that you have the same thing. But with express entry, you can study accounting in school and apply as a teacher, or I'm just giving an example, or a data analyst under express entry. So here is how it works. Your primary NOC, which is the first one that you are claiming as your work experience, the first one is that NOC must be your primary NOC, and you must have a 1 full year experience in that particular job. So you cannot say that you did 6 months here, 6 months here, and you want to combine everything together to make 1 year. No. Your primary NOC must be 1 full year. It could be part-time, but it has to be 1 full year. I'm going to put in the description box where you can read how to calculate part-time, full-time, and how you can see that you meet up to the criteria. So don't be shocked that somebody that has a 4 years experience, 3 in banking, 1 in data analyst, or say for example you have 1 year in law and you have 2 years as a company secretary, you can match those two and you can apply on that express entry. You are good to go. Also, don't forget that this particular work experiences must be in the tier, it must be in the NOC. So it's not just something that is not skilled, it has to be something that is in the NOC and you actually have an NOC code for. So therefore, you can claim for 2 jobs while applying on for your work experiences under the express entry. So after all of the most important things are sorted, which is your IELTS, your ECA, you've calculated your CRS score, you've checked your eligibility, you have your IELTS number, and you also have your ECA number. The next thing for you is to dive into the pool. You go straight into the pool to create an account for express entry. One thing I always say is that look at the forms very, very well. Do not make a mistake in the forms. It's not like the mistakes are significant, but I like to say something that when you order your GCMS notes, from the beginning to the end, plus mistake, plus addition, you will see everything in your GCMS notes. They might not take that into cognizance, but you would definitely see everything on their record, that they are seeing everything. So I like to advise people that do not make a mistake when you are filling the forms. Don't write a different job description and change it again to something else because you figured that that was not the one that you are supposed to apply under. Make sure that you have all your information before you dive into creation of the profile. So like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description box for all this information that I am saying. Please do not be lazy. Just click on it and you'll be able to see all of the information as it relates to everything that I am saying. It is from the IRCC's website. You can get all the information right there. So after creating your account, you've joined the other applicants in the pool, waiting and praying to be picked. We know how we felt because we were there once. So praying and waiting to be picked in the pool. The next thing that then happens is that IRCC, being the judge of everything, we don't know when, we don't know how, we don't even know the cutoff. They then decide to say that this is what the cutoff would be, and this is what we are bringing out for people. So you already know your score, you already know what your score is, and you can only pray that whatever draw that is going to happen, you meet up to the cutoff mark. Something interesting happened in March, and I was so impressed because in March, IRCC did 3 draws and 7,000 applicants each were asked to apply for, were invited to apply for permanent residency. It's insane, and at the same time, it's incredible because it's never like this. Before, when express entry went down, they switched their attention to PMP. It was just PMP, provincial nominees were the only ones that were, doing the whole thing. And then when they started the FSW or express entry back, the score was incredibly high. A lot of people did not stand a chance, but I told my friends, just write the IELTS, stay inside that pool, anything can change. And then in March, they reduced the score. I think the first score was 490 something, and the second score was 484, and the most recent one, which was 481. Let me tell you that just about the 481. When that 481 came out, I told myself, express entry is back to normal. And this is why. If you are 28 or you are 27, you have a master's degree, you maxed out your IELTS completely, you don't even have to have any other thing. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to have a sibling. Your score would be exactly 481. And I'm not joking. That's it. So when the 481 came out, I felt like a lot of people that had a master's degree, that age was still within their time, they were the lucky ones because they were certainly going to get ITA, except the tiebreaker rules comes into play. So just to say that it's not rocket science, the highest of the highest candidates are picked from the pool. You cannot just sit in the pool with 300 score. You need to find a way. You need to strive to increase your score, except you are lucky to be picked by a province. So just make sure that you do everything to remain in the pool, because you never can tell anything. IRCC, they are the dictator. They can tell you today we want to bring out, they can just do giveaway. So you know how it is, they will just say today we want to do giveaway and this is what we are doing, this is the cutoff that we want to bring out, and you don't know, you might just be the lucky one. So if you're the one that is still procrastinating about starting today, just do that ECA and do that IELTS and just wait there. Anything can happen, anything. So guys, I'm going to stop here. I don't want the video to be unnecessarily long, so I'm going to break it down in my next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.